we're on right here. The last few fights, Dan Ige and Josh Emmett, and those were ranked guys that were kind of moving you up to this division. Now you get a guy that's not technically ranked in Aaron Pico, but some would say probably outside of a title fight might be the biggest name in the UFC featherweight division. So I'm curious, do you agree with that assessment, and what do you make of Aaron as an opponent?
Yeah, for sure. I don't think rankings have anything to do with it. Most of the time, they don't mean anything. So everybody knows his level in the world, and he's got a big name. So for me, he's ranked number 3. That's how, or whatever. That's how I'm looking at it. And it's a solid opponent and a great matchup.
Did you watch much of Aaron in Bellator and PFL and everything when he was over there? Because he is that unique. He didn't have a career before Bellator. He was 0-0 when he signed with Bellator. So I guess how much of him did you watch back then?
Yeah, I watch MMA across the board. I'm an MMA fan. So yeah, I've watched his fights from earlier. I've watched his wins. I've watched his losses. So yeah, I know about him.
And, when he was in here and he said, he's now officially, he can feel like a UFC fighter, because for so long fans would come up to him and he'd tell them he trains MMA and they think he's in the UFC. They never heard of Bellator. They never heard of PFL. We've seen guys like, Pitbull came over and Patchy Mix came over, and there might have been UFC jitters, like maybe the spotlight got to them. So I'm curious, do you think that that's real? And do you think Aaron would even feel that? Because he seems like a guy that has been in the spotlight since before he even moved over to MMA.
Yeah, well, that's it. Everybody's different. Everybody handles pressure differently as well. So I'm not banking on that to happen, but it's a possibility. This is the biggest show in the world, and what an arena to make your debut. So yeah, that could play a factor. It could be a factor, and yeah, this is the place to be. The UFC, biggest fight organization in the world. You go back to like the likes of Patchy Mix and stuff like that. I just think that comes down to matchup, and also these other guys that have come over that have not performed may not have been in the prime. I think Aaron Pico's in his prime, so I expect to see the best version of him.
I don't know if you followed when the drama with the PFL. A lot of fighters were asking for their release, and Pitbull was asking for it, Pico was asking for it. I'm curious, did you pay attention to that? And if you did, and you saw that was happening, did you think I might have to be matched up with these two within the next 12 months? Yeah,
for sure. I've seen that happening, and I always know that guys are going to eventually end up in the UFC. This is the place MMA fighters want to be. Yeah. So when I seen that happening, I knew it was a possibility. And the cream rises to the top. So I knew from when I seen him fight years ago, I knew that one day he'll be in the UFC as well.
And this is, relatively, I guess, short notice, because you didn't, he was supposed to fight in July and now he's fighting in August. Did you know how far back in advance did you know that you might be fighting Aaron Pico on this card?
Yeah, 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago. So 2 weeks of training. But like I've said in previous interviews, I train all year round. I'm a true professional. So for me, it's not getting off the couch or not coming back from injury or whatever. I've been training, so I'm ready to go.
And there are some fighters that have that mindset, that like the short notice, because they don't have to think about Aaron Pico for 9, 11 weeks doing interviews, being like, what do you think of Aaron Pico 12 weeks before the fight? So do you prefer these kind of short notice ones?
I think it's got pros and cons, short notice. Obviously, I believe I'm a technician, so the longer I can study somebody and work on certain things, the better. But in terms of your body and health, like your body health, a 12-week camp's a long time, and he's been training for a 5-round fight, so I'm sure he's carrying bumps and bruises. I don't know. But yeah, mentally, I don't want to be waking up thinking about this same guy for 12 weeks. So that's a blessing. I feel good physically and mentally. So yeah, we're all good.
Just last one for me. When Aaron was in here, he's saying, we asked him, did the UFC promise you a title fight with a win here? And so our same question, did the UFC promise or make any promise to you about possibly fighting for the belt with a win over Aaron Pico?
I don't know. I've just got to win and see.
When you got the call for the Aaron Pico fight, what made you accept it? And since you are ranked in the division number 6 and he's not ranked at all, what does this do for your career moving forward if you do win?
Yeah, for me, it was a big card and a big spot on a big card, pay-per-view card, co-main event. Like, how can I turn that fight down? And obviously, he's got a big name. It's not like it's a nobody coming into the UFC and they're asking me to fight him. This is a big name that I'm fighting. And beating Aaron Pico is going to put me into that #1 contender spot. He was supposed to fight Movsar, and Movsar got hurt or sick or whatever happened. But so I'm the replacement now. So this is the #1 contender fight.
Aaron's been finished in 3 of his last 4 fights. Not 3 of the last 4 fights, but 3 of his last 4 losses, sorry. And one of them was by injury. Are you looking for a finish in this fight, or are you just looking to win by any means?
I would always love to finish a fight, always, but however I win, it doesn't matter to me. I just want to come out with a win and put on an exciting fight, and that's my goal.
Lerone, sorry. You win this fight, you'll be in a very small group of fighters who have never lost in their first 10 UFC fights. That includes Khabib Nurmagomedov, Anderson Silva, some of the all-time greats. I guess, what would that mean to you to get into that special echelon of fighters who went 10 fights to start their career without a loss?
Yeah, it sounds cool. It sounds cool on your resume, but my ultimate goal is to get to the title. So whatever happens to get there, it happens. I just need to reach my goal, and that's it.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're not getting your respect for what you've done coming into this fight? Like, we see Alexander Volkanovski is kind of picking, some shots at Pico and stuff, saying you'd mop the floor with him. Doesn't really seem to be talking too much about you. What do you make of that?
It don't really bother me, to be honest. I think from what I've seen, they've had a back and forth. Well, Pico's come out and said some things about you beat Alex Volkanovski, and he's just responding. So to me, that's all noise to me. I've got to focus on the fight on Saturday night.
Yeah, Lerone. I'd ask Aaron this question as well. What is your opinion? I know you said you got to focus on the fight and you don't pay too much attention in the background, but obviously the fans are loud, they're in the building, and you kind of embraced it in the Josh Emmett fight in the Apex. You said, come on, bring it on, boo me, right? We seen with the Patchy mix and the Mario Batista fight, it was kind of that scenario where one guy was getting booed, the UFC guy, and the Bellator guy came in. But as soon as the fight played out, the script got flipped, and all of a sudden they're cheering for Mario Batista. So on your end, when you come out to the press conference tomorrow, are you expecting to be booed? Are you expecting cheers? Or does it not matter to you at all?
I probably prefer to get booed, to be honest. I got booed in my debut fighting a Russian fighter in Abu Dhabi, and that just give me fire. You feel like you're fighting for your life, and that's when you switch on. Did you get what I'm saying? So I don't mind if I get booed or cheered. It doesn't matter to me. For me, I'm fighting on enemy territory. He's American, right? So I'm more than likely going to get booed, if anything.
I was just going back to the Josh Emmett fight. When you're in the cage and, especially if it gets amplified in an arena like that, you go in there with a strategy, and, with a guy like Josh Emmett, you're trying not to get, hit by that big hook or that big overhand.
Boss.
In an arena, when it does get amplified like that, is there a part of you that's oh man, I'm ready to just throw down and you know what, fuck it, I'm going to play into the crowd a little bit? Or are you 100% locked in on that game plan?
I think I'm laser focused, I'm properly laser focused. For me, once I'm in that cage, I feel like it goes silent. It's silent, and all I see is me and him. I don't even see the crowd, and I'm locked in. So for me, that's not going to bother me. I've been there, fought in front of big crowds, you get me? So.
Just over here, obviously I know you got the co-main event, your fight to think about.
Yes.
But I just want your thoughts on the actual main event. Who you got in that one?
Oh, it's a massive fight, great fight, and part of me, not even wishes, but part of me wants to be a fan in attendance to watch that fight. It's a great fight, but I don't know. It's very 50-50. Khamzat seems like an anomaly to me, the way he's dominated everybody. I seen a stat before that nobody's lasted over a minute without getting taken down from him. So we'll see what happens in that fight. I just want to see a good fight.
Just a couple from me over here.
Yeah.
Were there any other fights in the works for you before you took this opportunity against Pico?
No, I've been asking for a fight. Obviously, wanted to stay active from not fighting in the whole of 2022. Since that happened, it's just changed my whole mindset. I want to be active as much as possible before this thing's done. So, was waiting on the UFC to give me an opponent, but it seemed like everybody in front of me was injured, and this was the best opportunity possible.
Gotcha. And then on the Pico fight, taking this opportunity on with 3 weeks' notice and all that, you've been quoted as saying, "A fighter like me who's quiet and whatnot, I've got to take these chances." Do you believe a lack of being quiet and outspoken and hitting social media like a lot of these other fighters do, you think that's cost you some opportunities in the UFC?
Yeah, for sure, and that's kind of a lesson to these up and coming fighters. You have to do the work away from the cage as well. You can't just rely on that. It's a harder road, it's a longer road without doing that. So if I was to raise a bunch of fighters, I'd have them on that kind of stuff from early. You need to do it nowadays.
I mean, fans are starting to wake up to your skill set, and for those that like don't know who you are, like, what's one thing you wish people understood about Lerone Murphy?
I don't know. Just that's a hard question, but it's a good question. But for me, people always judge me and whatnot. But it's like, bro, I started this thing late. I'm fighting all these guys that have been doing this from young. I started this at 22 years old, yeah, and I'm number 6 in the world now, fighting co-main event. And still undefeated, so what can anybody say about that? Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Aaron over here. Obviously, we've been covering you for a long time, and it seems like every interview, every media day, it's always, when are you going to go to the UFC? What do you think about fill in the blank UFC champion? But, now that you're only a couple days away from actually being able to call yourself a UFC fighter, I guess, what's the whole fight week been like for you?
Yeah, it's been amazing fight week and being finding a balance of telling myself, wow, it's so surreal to be here finally, and after all the years of the ups and downs, to be in a place where I've always wanted to be, and I'm just really enjoying it and taking it all in and meeting all the new staff, and I'm the only thing I can say, it's just it's been good.
When Patchy did his first media day, we talked, and he was saying, over the last X amount of years, it's always, I train MMA, and the fans are always like, oh, you're in the UFC, and like they had never heard of Bellator, PFL, or anything like that. So, have you gotten that same treatment, and now you can finally say, like, I am a UFC fighter?
Yeah, that's it's always funny to explain to somebody that just doesn't get it. I have a funny story. My son is 4 years old, and we watch the fights all the time. And when I told him, Dad's going to fight in the UFC on TV, he said, wow, Dad, you're finally a professional. And I said, yeah, Dad's finally a professional. And it's funny. But now it's going to be, I don't really tell people, like when I'm out in public, they always ask me, oh, what do you do for a living? And I just say, oh, I'm an artist. And I don't go into detail. But then if they pry, I'm like, yeah, I'm a fighter. But then you tell them, oh, I fight. Back then I fought for this organization. They're like, oh, okay, so you're one day you'll be in the UFC. I say, yeah, one day I'll be in the UFC. And now if I get that question, it just say, yeah, I'm a UFC fighter. The conversation is like, oh, wow, you're big time and blah, blah, blah. But it feels good.
You're also kind of in a unique situation compared to, the Chandlers, the MVPs, and the Patches that came over where you only fought for Bellator, PFL. Like, you made your debut there. You didn't really have the other regional scenes. So I guess, has it kind of been surreal to, this really is the first time you've not been involved in a Bellator fight week?
Yeah, I started my career. My first fight was Madison Square Garden, and we all know how that went. I can laugh about it now, but back then it wasn't funny. But yeah, I haven't had an easy road to get here. I really had to dig deep and ask myself, is this something that I really want to do? And the answer was always yes. There was never an option to quit. I always knew I was going to be in the UFC. I just didn't know when. And I think everything aligned the way it was supposed to since the beginning of my career to where I'm at now. And I have a lot of work ahead of me. But mentally and physically, I'm ready for all of it.
Obviously you're supposed to fight Movzar in Abu Dhabi, and now it's Lerone. Has this kind of felt like just kind of one long fight camp for you? Because I'm sure by the time Movzar pulled out, you were kind of peaking at some point, and then you had to peak again for an entirely different opponent, an entirely different part of the world. So I guess just how's the process been preparing for Lerone now?
Yeah, and my coach Greg Jackson preaches that a lot, is staying in the process, and fights being canceled is part of the process. And I didn't get too worried about it. Hunter and I had a good conversation, and he said that I'm going to book you as fast as possible. I think I'm going to ask Lerone Murphy if he can fight. So I knew that August 16th was a maybe. So I kept pretty strict on my diet and took a few days off just to let the body heal, because I was preparing for August 26th, and my weight was getting low. So it was actually a good timing. I called my strength and conditioning coach, Sam Calavita, and asked him what do I need to do with the calories and this. And we came up with a good game plan, and I'm glad I'm fighting August 16th because I'm in better shape now than I was even preparing for the Abu Dhabi card.
What do you make of Lerone as an opponent? Because obviously he's like an undefeated guy. He's had some big wins. The last two, maybe fans think could have gone either way. Some people thought Josh and Ige won those fights. So I guess what do you make of his skill set as a whole?
What I make of his skill set is he's 16-0 for a reason, undefeated in the UFC. He's fought some really tough guys. Yeah, my team and I have our work cut out for us for Saturday, and I'm not coming in here, taking him lightly. And he has 16 fights, and I have just as many as he does. And I didn't start in the regional scene where I was fighting, in backyards or whatever. I've been on the big stage my whole career, so I'm ready for this moment. I just have to do my job Saturday and take care of business.
Aaron, you mentioned the work you did with Sam Calavita at the training lab. You had Hamzat and Arman Sarukian around you as well. Can you just explain what that was like for you, and if you got to do much work with those guys, how did that elevate your mental and fighting game?
Well, it was an honor to train with those guys. I think their mindset. I understand why they're the best in the world. Arman's number one. Hamzat's fighting for a world championship on Saturday, and it's really nice to be around guys that have the same mindset as you, meaning that when they come to train, it's all business. They're trying to be the very best, and when it came time to compete with exercises and things like that, we were trying to beat each other, and it just elevated our game, and we really pushed each other. And on another note, I want to say is that they're just really nice guys. Hamzat, I think he is a killer, and he wants to just maul people. But when you get to have a conversation with him, you see how he interacts with people, and he's a very kind man. And that was the biggest thing for me that I respect the most. And same with Arman. When I would ask him, "Hey, can you come drill with me?" He's like, "Yes, I'll be there." And he doesn't have to do that. So, yeah, they push themselves, and they're killers, but they're also very just genuine, good human beings. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah, I assume you believe in Hamzat and that he's going to win this fight. How do you think he wins? And I guess now seeing it firsthand in the training room, how unstoppable and difficult to deal with is his wrestling going to be for Dricus?
Yeah, he's a problem. I think he can get a submission. But I know if it goes 5 rounds, he has the cardio in him to push the pace on Dricus, and that's not an easy task. But he really has taken this training camp serious, from what I see, and really tried to push his body to the limit. And I think he's just going to go out there and do his best, and I think he can get the submission.
And there's a few people at featherweight who feel they probably have a claim to a title shot, and the winner of this fight may be one. And it seems you have got Alexander Volkanovski's attention. I know you said to Fox Sports Australia you would knock him out. He replied to that. I don't know if you heard it. He said, "I reckon I'd crumble him in the wrestling department. His best bet is to try and land a big shot. Other than that, I mop the floor with him." So I guess what's your response to that? And at least you have his attention, it seems.
Well, it would be 5 rounds, so I think I'm going to land a left hook or a right hand, so I can put him out. But I'm the new guy in this organization, and I'm just going to be upfront. And to have his attention, that's a good thing. But I have to take care of Lerone Murphy. That's all I'm focused on. But Volkanovski has it coming. yeah, he's not an easy guy to fight, and I'm aware of that. And I look at who he's fought as far as the high level wrestlers. He's never fought a high level wrestler like me, and your time is coming.
Is there any indication from the UFC if you win this fight the way I'm sure you want to and are dreaming of that you could get the title shot after this?
No, the only thing is go out there and do your job, and there is going to be big things ahead of you, and that's all I've been told, and that's all I'm focused on.
And just to follow up on Volkanovski, obviously, Saturday has to come first. I understand that's your focus, but to come into the UFC is obviously a massive dream and a goal for you. But then to be able to fight for the title against a man like Alex Volkanovski, possibly the best ever in this division's history, how exciting is that? Not just to fight for a UFC belt, but to fight a GOAT of the division. How exciting is that?
Yeah, that's really exciting. It's a guy that gets me out of bed in the morning. Every practice that I would go to, I mean, he would be on my mind. I want to fight Volk one day, and it's actually music to my ears for him to say, yeah, I'll mop the floor with him. I keep with that mindset, to be honest with you. Keep underestimating me, because while you're doing that, I'm in the gym just getting better and better and working. When I wake up, I'm thinking, how do I take you out? And that puts a big smile on my face to see that he replied to that.
In a way, he's almost kind of doing you a favor, right? By singling you out, he's almost putting it out there that, hey, if you win, this could be the one. This might sound like a weird question because I believe you're incredibly skilled, but are you happy to almost take a little longer, get your feet wet in the UFC, experience this stage a bit more? Or are you ready, like, hey, if he calls me out, I'm fighting Volkanovski as soon as possible?
No, Volkanovski, we win this fight, we fight Volkanovski. Why am I gonna go through the ringer and take fight these guys and maybe something happened to postpone a title fight? I'm in a good position. I get the win. I go straight to the top. If the bosses say that, and any time you get a phone call saying, "Hey, you're fighting for the belt," I would never say, "Well, let me get my feet wet a little bit more," because there's risks that come involved, training camps and this. If there's a clear path to fighting for the belt, then I'm going to take it.
Aaron, right here, brother. Obviously, like some guys, they have, they feel the pressure making their UFC debuts and things like that. I wanted to ask about as far as the MMA fan base, because I feel like you're kind of in a similar scenario to Patchy Mix. When he was coming in with Mario Batista, the fans weren't happy with Batista. They were cheering Patchy Mix. And then the fight went the way it did, and they completely flipped on him. They were booing him. They were calling him all sorts of things. I feel like you're kind of coming into that same scenario. Like with Murphy's last fight, people were booing him in the apex. So I feel like you're going to come on stage and you're going to be the guy because they want to see Lerone Murphy lose after the last fight. So do you think like about the interactions with fans and the way that the script can flip so quickly and the pressure that it can add, or does it not faze you at all?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there is pressure. I put a lot of pressure on myself to compete at the highest level, and the work that I put in is a lot, and it comes with pressure. But I don't really think too much about that as far as what the fans are thinking, and you can't please everyone, and MMA fans are brutal, so I don't read too much comments or anything like that. I focus on what I can control, and I go out there and get a big win. The fans will be happy. But to answer your question, if they are booing him and they're on my side, I'm not mad at that. Of course, I want the fans on my side, especially being here in America, and he's coming over from England. So to have the fans on my side is a plus.
All right, just one from here. People are looking at the Pitbull, his debut, Patchy's debut, and just kind of going off what he asked. They kind of scoff at another Bellator guys coming in and everything. What's your message to people that doubt that you belong in the elite at 145 pounds?
I don't really have a message for them, but all I can say is that they're Patchy and all those and Pitbull are incredible fighters, but I'm Aaron Pico. And watch Saturday night, and that's all. That's the message I have for you, is just watch.
Hey, Aaron.
Yes,
Just
sir.
to go back on Sam Calavida real quick, but we hear a lot of the fact that he's a former math teacher. Everything he does is so specific, so math-based, and everything is monitored. Can you explain exactly how it works? So when you come to camp with him, he takes a lot of different values of your VO2 max and stuff like that, and every day he checks it, tells you about it, and at the end of the training camp, you have a lot of different things that you progressed on. How does it work exactly, his method?
That's a good question. I can't speak on that. You'll have to ask him. But it's very detailed, and if you want to be at the highest level as far as cardio, food, and get your body to a place it's never been before, go to the training lab and see firsthand. But I can't speak on that, to be honest with you.
You debuted in 2017, and you were the Bellator prodigy. Now 8 years later, you're in the UFC. How would you describe your journey here?
How would I describe my journey? Well, it's been a tough one. I didn't have an easy path to get here. I took some big losses and kind of doubted for a lot of years, can I do this? But I stayed the course. I got better. I surrounded myself with really, really good coaches, Brandon Gibson and Greg Jackson and Sam Calavita, and I just got to work. And as you can see, in my last 10 fights, I've won, and I'm a completely different fighter than I was in 2017, and I think the people are going to see that come Saturday.
Last question. Aaron, finish this sentence. Don't blink because...
Left hook's coming.